Okay, I'd like to, at this time, I'm privileged to introduce our very special guest speaker, a person who is very inspirational to thousands of people, bringing them closer to Hashem with his lectures, his DVDs, and his website, Divine Information. He was originally from Eretz Yisrael, and he founded a yeshiva and a kollel there. And our own Reuven Shalom ben Abraham Oliver Shalom is the Shomer should have an Aliyah, was very inspired by this man. So at this time, without further ado, I want to introduce to you Rabbi Yosef Mizrachi.
Thank you very much. Does it reach? I don't know if it will reach. It won't reach? Oh, it came out? All right, just put it here and plug it in. Very good. Shavua Tov, everyone. The person who organized this evening is already transferred to the next world. So Be'ezrat Hashem, this lecture will be for the memory of his soul, to elevate his neshama, Leilui Nishmat, Reuven Shalom ben Avraham, Nishmato Gan Eden. And I will not make a long lecture because I know it's Saturday night, Motzi Shabbos. But before I would start my lecture, first I would like to encourage everyone. Right here behind me, I brought you 3 CDs, courtesy of good, wonderful Jewish people who care for their brothers to see the truth. If you know me or you don't, all my lectures are based, most of my lectures are based on facts and proofs. It's a little bit unique because I'm not speaking just based on emunah, I'm speaking based on yediah, of knowledge, and proving that the Torah is divine, and then make life a lot easier for Jews to practice Torah. Because if a person has 10, 20, 30% doubt if his life is real, if he's following the right direction, it's very difficult to follow something, a list of instructions, when you have a doubt if you get paid in the end. If you go to work and all month you don't know if your boss is honest or is a crook, you don't know. All month it's very hard for you to work because you think, what's going to happen at the end of the month? It's going to tell me you are fired and I'm not paying you. Very difficult to be a good worker. But if you got paid, next month you feel a lot better. Because you know, oh, that's legit. Very good. Now I have much more energy to follow the truth. So please have some CDs. You have here the Torah and Science, the famous film that I made a few years ago in English. It's a 4-hour Jewish seminar. It's divided to 3 different sessions. First session is proving Mount Sinai, that Moses and God really spoke and everybody heard the voice of God for the first and last time in history. It's about an hour proving it. How do we know for sure it happens? Not just a myth or a story somebody made up. Second part is all the divine information in the written and mainly in the oral Torah. Most of the proofs we show for many, many years in seminars all over the world, which is responsible for many thousands of Jews that they are observants of the Torah, is coming, believe it or not, from the oral Torah, not from the written Torah. The written also have plenty of proofs, but some people are criticizing the oral Torah or questioning the oral Torah. In reality, the oral Torah is full of divine information that leaves no doubt that a person can never write it. Only the Creator of the world was able to. And the third part of the film is answering the most frequent question that every normal Jew or a non-Jew has in his entire life, which means, what are we doing here? Why the world was created? Who is this God? What does he want from us? How do I know there's life after life? What's the difference between us and the animals? What's the purpose of life? And how is the concept of reward and punishment works? How does the concept of the free choice work? How do I know I'm choosing what I do and I'm not just another robot? All these famous questions that I heard probably thousands of times, I answer them, everything in one DVD. And it's right behind me. You can have it, free of charge. Second, I'm making now MP3 CDs, which approximately 15 to 18 lectures on each one. For the car, for people who have cars for the last 4 years. Most of them play MP3. You can play 25 hours of lectures in your car. It's also behind me. The last thing, I made a famous debate 3 years ago with a Christian professor, a teacher of Christianity of the University of Christianity in Manhattan. It's a 3 hours debate. Now we made it with Hebrew subtitle. Just came out a week ago. On a DVD, for those who don't speak such great English, it's all translated to Hebrew. So it's right here behind me. You can see how the Christian minister who teach Christianity for 31 years, in the end of the debate, admitted that Christianity is false. Say, you put me in a hole, I don't know I'm going to get myself out of there. And I told him, I just proved to you it's a false religion. It's not the religion that was written by God. It's a man-made religion. He didn't say no. He said, my heart does not let me live it. It was so good to me over the years, religion in general. It's very hard for me to disconnect myself from it. So I told him, the heart is all illusions, feeling, infatuations, dreaming. How can you know what's in your heart is the truth? We are talking facts here, not feelings. Feelings, most of them are false. We are talking divine proof. And I gave him an example. I say a Muslim terrorist, before he blow women and children and kill them for just because they are Jewish, he also believe in his heart all kinds of imaginations. What makes it valid? Does he have a proof? Can you prove that he's going to heaven for murdering innocent children? Of course not. It's against God's book. And the Muslims and the Christians admit that the Torah is a divine book. This is one of the hardest thing to digest. We have more than 4 billion Muslims and Christians combined in the world. None of them ever try to deny that Judaism is the word of God. The opposite. They base their religion as a continuation of the Torah. So what could be a better proof that supposedly the enemies of Israel, of course not all of them are enemies, but in general Christianity was very, very anti-Jewish, with inquisitions and tortures and all, and Islam just as bad. So they went after Judaism non-stop for the last 2,000 years, and they are the ones who admit with no hesitation. Of course God spoke to Moses. What's the question? Of course he gave him the Torah. Millions of people witnessed that. There's no question about that. We just claim that there is one more prophet. And we, the Jews, can prove 1,000,000% that it's all false. Every page in the New Testament, every page in the Quran, you bring me, I show you human errors. If God wrote it, what's happening to God? He forgets simple things that you and I remember. What, is worse than us? How can it be? Just the person who made a statue and a minute later tell his children, let's bow down to this statue, this is our God. Let's hope that he's going to send us health and happiness and living. It's very foolish. You just made a statue, is a 1 hour old. He's going to bring you salvation to your life. It's very foolish. Foolish or not, hundreds of millions of people do it. What do you think? All the idols worshippers. It's hard to understand how does it work, but they bow down to all these idols in their temples. In India, in Thailand, in China. They're all worshipping idols. Go to Lower East Side, Chinatown over there. You see in the middle of the day, they have mincha. They put Buddha on the table and they all run around him and dancing with some, drums and this. Okay, now, anybody here, I would really, really be interested to turn it into questions, answers. And I tell you why, because I see all kinds of people here, from very religious to non-religious at all. So what's the point of speaking about one subject that half of the people will be bored? It's not to their level. Let's go questions and answers. Go ahead.
Why the Shoah? Where was God when the Shoah happened?
Thank you very much. I repeat the questions. Where was God in the Holocaust? Answer, and of course no offense to anyone if there is any survivors or children of survivors. Answer, the Shoah, the Holocaust, is one of the biggest proofs that the Torah is divine and God runs the show. It's one of the best proof. If a person eliminates his feelings and think rationally with his head, the Shoah, the Holocaust, is 100% scientific proof that God runs the world. How do I know? If the Torah did not speak about the Holocaust, then you're right. It's a very strong question. Where was God? But once the divine books say that God spoke to Moses before he died, and he told him one day, these children, the nation of Israel, are going to betray me. They will marry the Goyim, they'll imitate the Goyim, they'll follow false religion, they betrayed me, they'll be ungrateful to me. And at that day, I will be so upset at them that I will close my eyes and let the Gentiles destroy them, and I will not have any mercy on them, because they dare to say God is not with us. Because they say it, I won't be with them. Now, you may ask me, okay, I understand. The Torah warns from a tragedy that will happen to the Jews by the non-Jews. But how do we know that the Torah referred to this particular Holocaust? There was hundreds of pogroms. There's many, many tragedies. How do we know that the Torah spoke about Hitler, Ymach Shemo? How do we know? The answer is, inside the Torah, there is something that called mathematical, equal, skip, hidden codes inside the Torah. Now, for those of you who do not understand what codes are, in 1 minute I will explain it. I have a whole lecture about it in my website. You can go there and get the whole idea in a better way. But
before you continue to the person that asked about the Shoah, first of all, the Torah, sir, is before the world. The Torah is before the creation.
Okay, now, so thank you for your help, but I can handle it, thank you. So the answer is like this. How do we know? Well, first of all, what codes are? Codes. If I want to send a Persian Jew to Iran to be a spy, and obviously if they know he's a Jew and he's there, the next thing you're going to know is going to be chopped to pieces. So we have to find a way that he will transfer me the information without anyone suspecting him that he's a spy. So we say like this. Every week you send me a letter, and you talk about a lot of nonsense. You woke up, you're tired, your back hurts, you went to the doctor, you took a walk, you have a dog, your wife is sick. Who knows, who cares? Smear a lot of nonsense. But every 50th letter is count in your letter. Everything else is a cover-up. When I get the letter, when the Iranians review the letter, they don't see any spying work here. It's talking about the weather, whatever, who cares? But when I get the letter, I take my pencil, and I take the 50th letter and I circle it. Then I go to the 100th letter, and I circle it. 150, I circle. 200, I circle. 250, 350, 4. Like this, I circled 150 letters, and it gives me now a sentence. In Tehran, in this address, under the ground, you have a ready bomb on a missile, ready to be launched. Now, the Iranians didn't see it, but I saw it because it was planned in codes inside the book. Now, if he sends me now how many missiles in Iran, that's not anything divine. It's just regular, simple spying work. But the Torah have something much better than this. The Torah, as the lady there said, was way before the Holocaust. 3,200 years before Hitler was born, the Torah was given to the Jews in front of millions of witnesses. Now, inside the Torah, when God said to Moses, there will be time that the Jews will become 100% like the Goyim, and they neglect my Torah and betrayed my covenant that I made with them, and there will be time for them to pay the price. And that's what I'm going to do to them in the place that they say God is not here. And right there, inside that page that's speaking about the tragedies, all the words that connects to the Holocaust that happened in Germany are hidden in equal, mathematical, skip, Hitler, Eichmann, Rudolf Hess, the Holocaust, the final solution, the Holocaust, HaShoah, appears in equal skip of 49 letters inside that page, which means this is the conclusion of what I told you, and it's all brief. I have a much longer explanation about it, but obviously I cannot dedicate the whole lecture for this question, so I just briefly, let's conclude. 3,200 years before the Germans started to get into power, God already wrote their names and what they're going to do to the Jews in his Torah in hidden codes. But it's planned. It cannot be, because it's equal mathematical skip. If they're going to make one mistake in a code, the computer won't find it. I'll give you an example. We enter to the computer Yitzhak Rabin, the ex-prime minister of Israel. The computer searched the entire Torah and find the first Yud. That's his name. Yitzhak starts with Yud. Then he finds the next tzaddik. If the next tzaddik is three letters later, from the tzaddik is going to come to, he will try to find the chet in 3 letters after. If he doesn't find the chet, it goes back to Yud. And it counts 4. 4, 4, 4. If it doesn't go, it counts 5, 5, 5. It doesn't go, it goes back to Yud. So the computer search in less than a second what you and I will take us 1,000 years. If we want to find the name Yitzhak Rabin in a computer, in the Torah, the computer found it in less than a second. And the computer show us Yitzhak Rabin in equal mathematical skip hidden in the Torah, in equal skip. Then we put the name of the murderer, Yigal Amir, and it's in the same page with mutual resh. They have one mutual resh, there's no 2 resh. Not only God knew it's going to be Yitzhak Rabin, not only he knew it's going to be Yigal Amir, he already showed you there's a link between both of them. They actually appear in a Torah in a generation. Nobody knew there will be these 2 individuals. George Bush, Saddam Hussein, the first Gulf War, all of them appear in a Torah in equal skip. Ken. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. So Holocaust, I know it's a very sensitive issue and very, very difficult to speak to people who came out of the camps. But I promise you that just that there are many people who came out of the Holocaust and they're anti-religion, there are just as many people that became much stronger in their religion, and I know many of them. And let me explain to you something. You know, many people say that through their suffering in the camps, 8 or 9 times, they got saved in unbelievable ways. The ones who were supposed to get saved, God saved them. He has his reasons we don't understand. The ones who are not supposed to get saved are not saved. But one thing I want to tell you, life is not the 70 years that we walk and eat here. That's one very common mistake among people. I have a whole lecture here that prove with no doubts that every time the Torah uses the word Chaim, life, is speaking about life of eternity, the life of the soul, not the life of the body, because the body is temporary. It's like taking a diamond, putting it in a plastic box. The diamond worth $1 million, the box is only $1. Nobody really cares about the box. So the diamond is in the box for 1 week. Then one day you open the box, you take the diamond, you throw the box to the garbage, and you take a different box. You put it now, instead of white box, in a yellow box. Also $1. This is exactly how the soul transfers from one body to another. And everyone who died because he's a Jew and went through a period of suffering before he died, such as hospital, surgery, cancer, Nazis, Arabs, etc. This is, I know it's hard to believe and understand, but it's 100% can be proven. It's the best thing that can happen to a person. Why? Because he suffered 2-3 years, and he cleans his soul from all the sins of 60, 70 years. And he go express to heaven and doesn't have to go to a place that I don't want to even mention. And that's, every one of us feel bad for him. In reality, he's the one who in the end would laugh at us. Because he paid for what he owes God here, and he got clean. And we do not know what's going to happen with us.
Good thing. Maybe it should happen again.
No, okay, now listen. There's no obligations in the Torah for us to pray for tragedies to come to us. No. We pray that God gives us the best thing. But the truth is that a kosher Jew doesn't pray for specific thing. He say, God, please bring to me what's going to get me the closest to you that's possible. If I'm going to get close to you by being wealthy, make me wealthy. If I'm going to get close to you by being poor, then I'm going to need you, so I'm going to be connected to you, make me poor. If it's good for me to have children, give me children. If my children will be murderers and criminals, please don't give me. If I'm going to be righteous, let me live. If I'm going to be wicked and ungrateful to you, take me now. This is the kosher way to pray. How many people pray like this? Not that many, because people want money, they want health. For instance, a person that needs to get married, he saw a beautiful girl. He's 21, she's 20. What they say in America, he fell in love with her. So he fell in love now, and he comes to the shadchan, I want this Miriam. And the rabbi said to him, how do you know she's for you? No, believe me, I know. You know, we have many things in mutual. I want her. And he prays now every day, cries to God, I want this girl, I want. 2 or 3 months later, it's working out. Then they get married, and they have horrible marriage. Suffer many, many years, and they have problems, children, sicknesses, no peace in the family. What brought it to him? Praying for something specific that you don't know if it's good for you or not. Same thing, we're not allowed to pray for specific things that cannot be good for us. How do you know this girl is for you? Maybe your shidduch is somebody else. Same thing, we should not cry for something that looks bad, because it could be the best thing. If a person lost money, yeah, it's painful. Nobody wants to lose money. But how do you know? Maybe this money will save you. I'll tell you, I just come from Englewood. I had a Shabbaton there. There's one rabbi from Israel, and he told me an amazing story. This is what he told me. Listen good to this story. He went to Mexico to a wealthy Syrian Jew. And the wealthy Syrian Jew is a very merciful, nice person. He told him, I feed the poor people in Israel. He showed him a video what he does. And he really feed a lot of families that don't have even money for bread. The poverty is horrible in certain parts of Israel. So after that Syrian businessman in Mexico saw it, he opened up his safe. He's a gold dealer, selling golds. He opened up the safe. There were more than $1 million over there in cash money. He took out $26,000 cash, and he gave it to him. He said, this is for your poor people for Pesach. And that's it. An hour after the rabbi left the place, Mexican came with machine guns and robbed the entire safe. More than $1 million in cash. More than $1 million. And it was all in gold. Most of it was in gold. They took the gold. So he called the rabbi. He said, Rabbi, you see how God paid me for my mitzvah? A minute or an hour after you left, he took away my $1 million. Now, the person who approached him was on his next visit in front of 300 people in the audience. Now imagine you come to a Shabbaton in Mexico, you try to bring Jews closer to God, and one of them get up and say, I gave you $26,000 for the poor people, and how God paid me back, send me this Mexican to rob me and put me on the floor. There's no point of continue your lecture. So he said, I didn't know where to hide. This guy gave me like under the belt. So I said to him, listen, I prefer to discuss this with you when the lecture is over. Few days later, he said I was there. He comes to me in the middle of Mincha. He couldn't hold himself. I was in the middle of Shmoneh Esrei. Tap on my shoulder. You're not going to believe what just happened. What? The insurance approved my case, even though in the beginning on the phone they say, no, you don't have case. He got $2.5 million. You understand? Why you cry for the million if it's a plan of God to give you 2.5 times? It's the best deal he ever made, this robbery. You understand? So why are we crying for something we don't know if it's good or bad? We don't know. All right, next question.
Me.
Wait, over there. Shh. Yeah, wait. Yeah.
How could God, that's perfect, show favoritism to Jews? I never understand.
All right.
Next question.
How God preferred the Jews compared to the Gentiles?
What?
Why God, למה השם מעדיף את היהודים על הגויים?
What a question.
Please.
What is this? Yeah. Please. No, את מפריעה.
לא מפריע. תגיד להם לגבי התהילים, תתחיל מפה בבקשה. 2 פסוקים לגבי גלעד.
Okay, wait. It's not a part of my plan, I'm sorry.
אבל לא, רק להראות שתהילים יש לו כוח 3,000 שנה.
It's not a part of the lecture, I'm sorry. אוקיי. בסדר, זה שלך, לא שלי. אוקיי. So, the answer, the question is, why God preferred the Jews from all the other nations? The answer is, when the world was created, Adam and Eve were not Jewish. There's no Judaism yet. There was 2,450 years before the Torah was given to the Jews. The original plan of God was all the descendants of Adam and Chava will get the Torah and the whole world will be one nation. But after Adam made the sin, so he lost the merit to receive the Torah. Then he has two sons, Cain and Abel. One turned into a murderer. Him and his descendants are out of the Torah inheritance. God cut them out, so Abel now, but Abel got killed. So God waited, 130 years later, it was Shet, another person to Adam, was righteous. So God said, okay, from Shet, the Torah is going to start. But he had, from people, his descendants were not all good, so he didn't get it. Then we get to the time of Noah. Noah had 3 sons. One righteous, 2 wicked. The wicked one of them is Yefet, in English Jeff. The other one, his name is Ham. Ham is all the African countries, where in Africa there's over there, where it's very hot, he went over there. And Yefet went to the European country, where they got the beauty. And Shem, he went to the Middle East. Shem is the Jewish founder. There's no Judaism yet. It's the descendants of the Hebrews that starting with Abraham comes from Shem. Someone who hates the Jews, his name is anti-Semite. Shem. Why? He doesn't love the descendants of Shem. Okay, so now, Jeff wasn't righteous. Him and his children are out of the plan. Ham was not righteous. Him and his children are out of the plan. So where the Torah is going to give to Shem. But God is waiting to see. And he see that from Shem, few generations later, there's Abraham, very righteous man. Okay, Abraham deserved to start the Torah. But then he goes with Hagar and bring Ishmael. The Torah says a murderer, Pere Adam, wild beast. Cannot give the Torah to this person. So Ishmael is out. Abraham brought Ishmael to the world. Abraham is out of the plan. Yitzchak now. Let's give it to Yitzchak. Yitzchak brought Esav and Yaakov. Esav is the founder of the Nazis. The Romans. Yitzchak and his son Esav is out of the plan. Now we have Jacob. Jacob, all his children are righteous, finally. Now we're starting Judaism. Let's send them to Tironut. You know what Tironut means?
Basic training.
Basic training. Israeli soldier, he has a ponytail, 2 earrings over there. He comes out of the nightclub, 6 o'clock the next morning, he gets on a bus. He comes to the Israeli army, you know, cream on his hand, perfume, ponytail, gel. The guy said to him, come you. Maher, to the barber, shave his head, take off his earring, take him to the doctor, a big needle like this, I don't want to tell you where. They push it to him, 3 days he limped like this. Put him with 46 people in a room from the time of Antiochus, lice in a blanket, horrible condition, horrible food. Dog food is better than some of the food. You open the cans, loof. You smell it, you need life insurance before you open it. You have no idea how it smells. It's meat 3-4 months in conservatives with all kinds of anti-poison medication.